Okay, so before we get into Tableau's chapter 4, let's just do a quick demo of how to get a table or data into a table in the first place. So creating basic tables is actually super easy. What could be more challenging is to get the data that you actually want to appear in the right spot. So this data is actually the Kaggle data I used for my project when I took this class. This is employee ratings on, or well, current and former employees rating their employers in Glassdoor. So we've got a lot of raw data in this file. It's combined with this version. It's not, no, it's just straight data from just the Glassdoor data. Yeah. Okay, so all I've done is connect the CSV sheet. I didn't do anything else to this. Oh, okay. So in here, I'm interested in looking at the average ratings per company. So I'll just double click on company. It put it in a place for you. I have overall z-scores, so it's normalized data because there were multiple scales involved. This is an average rating across the different scales. That's instead of having a range of like 1 to 5, it centered the data over 0, and it has up to a -1, +1 range, and that's it. So that's a z-score. So I'm gonna throw z-score up there. You see that automatically. Okay, two things. So it put it up in table automatically. If it didn't do that, we could click this right here to throw it over there. So you can see that you can just mess around with this and get different things going. This one actually put it with colors automatically, but here's, so we know how to do this on our own because we're cool like that. We're going to do this. So the sum is actually, the sum is how many, it's actually completely meaningless, really. But we don't want the sum. What we want is the average. And by average, I mean mean, not median or anything funky, right? So like I said, it's centered over 0. So these numbers by themselves aren't that meaningful. It's the relativeness of them that matters. So let's say that we want to put some sort of conditional formatting on them, basically. So we want to get these color-coded for our positive and negatives, just so it's easier for our brains to compute because the numbers are so small. What we want to do is take that same measure and throw it over here on top of color. Now notice two things. It threw color on there, and I put it back on the sum. So we need to go back in here, go to measure, average, so it's the same thing here. I don't like these colors. So let's go into our color. We can do the edit color. So it's something like this. I'm interested in basically showing like the top half and the negative half, or the bottom half. So what I can do is throw it into stepped color. And then I'm going to reduce the steps. And you can hit apply and see what it looks like. And coincidentally, I have 3 negatives and 3 positives here. And I have a nice even number, and it's all beautiful. So this works out beautifully, just like that. If I wanted to reverse colors, I could do that. If I wanted to get this off of the red because I don't want any weird associations with that, I can, usually that's a little bright for the visualization part of it. So we could do that, see what that looks like. It's still a little light. There you go. So you can do stuff like that. So yeah, so you can mess around with these. You see that it gives you a range of stuff that is very similar to the color brewer things. So these are, let's get rid of this stuff so you can kind of see the different options. So you've got like blues and greens. These are all those monochromatic ones. You've got these beautiful diverging ones. You know, they're not going to be great for text like this. But you can see that when you're using, so this version actually colored the text itself. This version is doing like a highlight background thing, which is a little easier on the eyes actually. So when we go in here, now we can mess around with those. So we can do that. We can also do the stepped ones in here. Like that is this great on the eyes, not really super dark and kind of looks awkward, but you get the idea of the options that you can do here, right? Because these are background ones, we can do stuff like that. That's interesting that it popped up these two instead of grabbing the third one there. Yeah, so yeah, so this is allowing it to do automatic stuff based on a gradient instead of like telling it specifically do half of these in one color and do half of them the other, because that would mean creating parameter and a whole calculation. So this is the easy version of that. Okay, so for your homework, creating a table and adding color is definitely something that I want you to be able to do, and also apply what we were just talking about with all that color theory and accessibility stuff, and you know, like relabeling things. Like, is sheet 2 a spectacular name for this? No, this would be the z-score, let's see, companies z-score overall ratings. See, now it's labeled at least. Best practices, you want to label your tabs as well so you don't get confused. Yeah, you can do things like color and edit your font. You can make things bold and stuff like that in here. So all sorts of different things. So experiment with what you can do in here, and to make it accessible and easy to see and read. You know, you can expand these to give it more white space when needed. This particular one doesn't need the extra room, but you can edit with those. So yeah, so play around with those, and that's going to be part of your homework.